I mean, serving your country, I don't think there's any bigger honor.
Yeah.
People people often say, and it always makes you feel awkward. Hey, thanks for your service, right around a Remembrance Day or something like that, and you always get that awkward feeling. It's like, hey, you don't have to thank me. You've probably done just as much for this country as I have. Fixing power lines. Um, but it is an honor to say that you wore the flag, and especially in conflict, in combat, and yeah, it it gives you that special feeling. But no, I could never sit here and say that I joined the army because I wanted to defend my country. That came um, eventually as being a member of 3PBCLI when called upon after 9/11, and I gladly jumped at that opportunity. But I'd be lying if I said that was why I joined the army. I joined the army because I was looking for an adventure.
Would you say, like among civilians, the military is looked at differently from a Canadian perspective than it is here? I think here, especially in the current war, we always talk about the Vietnam guys who came back and they were spit on and called these terrible names and stuff. And I think now that that's kind of over. There's certain parts of the country where the military isn't as respected, and there's some that absolutely love and adore our military. I'm wondering, as someone, I've been to Canada, but it's not somewhere I've lived. Is it the same there?
Wow, that's a big question, and I think we got to dissect it a little bit because there's no short answer there. So, in comparison to Canada to the United States, both which I've traveled extensively, uh, I wouldn't compare anywhere I've been in the world to the level of patriotism that I've seen in the United States. The one thing that I will say above all in the United States is the people who are there stand by their country, their flag, and support their military like nothing I've experienced any in the world, including Canada. Now, Vietnam, and I'm not a history buff, but there was this. I think that was the first time a war became political. World War I, World War II, we didn't see embedded media. We didn't see frontline reporting. Vietnam was the first time that and when I say we, I just mean the world. Um, so the world had seen firsthand the effects of war, and I don't think anybody was prepared for that. Everybody thinks everybody wants to know what's going on, but when you show them, it's upsetting to them, and they don't think it's right. War is violent. War is dangerous. War is unforgiving. It's brutal. Um, but that's the way war has been since we've been around. Um, when you throw the media in there with a camera catching live footage, you're getting raw emotion, raw actions. We have all the time in the world to sit there and judge what the commanders on the ground or the soldiers on the ground are doing and making split second decisions. With that comes time to pass judgment. And it's very easy to pass judgment on something that you weren't there to experience yourself. So Vietnam was our first glimpses of what wars would become in the future, and that's political. You have soldiers in harm's way trying to follow their ROEs, follow orders from command, achieve the objectives on the ground, while also in the back of their head, what's this going to look like on mainstream media? Commanders are thinking that. Everybody's worried about their job. Everybody's worried about promotion. Everybody's worried about, um, perception. You can't do that anymore. We've lost the ability in North America to be the effective war tool that we are, and we've done that to ourselves. both in Canada and I believe in the United States. I think in talking to some of my friends down there, they would agree with me. I don't speak for Americans, but I do have friends down there, and I think that everybody everybody would agree that if you want us to be successful, if you want it to be fast, if you want the outcome to be what command had envisioned, you had to let soldiers go in. You had to take the handcuffs off them. You had to let them do their job. Uh, we're not carpenters. We're not teachers. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We're soldiers. We're taught to kill. We're taught to advance, close with, and destroy the enemy at all costs. And in doing that, it's not always with a scalpel. Often it's with a very heavy sledge. And when we do that, there's casualties. There's casualties of war. Yes, women and children do get killed in war. That's part of war. And I think when a country makes a decision to go to war with an entity, a terrorism group, or another country, I mean, that's known. There's a certain percentage put in there for civilian casualties. Because we've politicized it and we've allowed cameras onto the front line, what do you think that they focus on? They focus on the small percentage. That percentage that we realized that was going to happen anyway, but that's what media wants. And I mean, I have friends in media. I'm not coming down on media. That's their job. They're trying to tell the story. But let's be honest. Gore, drama, conflict, controversy creates ratings. Ratings create viewership. Viewership creates sales and money, and that's what they want to focus on. Let's not look at the 99% of effectiveness of the soldier on the ground. Let's look at that 1% of error, or not even error, a risk that we knew existed and we knew what would happen because we fight war with a sledgehammer. We knew that there was going to be casualty. Let's focus in on that. And that's just one example that I'm using. You know, it could be, you know, there's somebody with a rebel flag on, or his flag was upside down on his uniform. The media focuses in so much on creating that little bit of drama that it creates ineffectiveness for the soldier on the ground, and that's what's hurting us this day and age. So to go back to your question, when the guys came back from Vietnam, they were the first ones to experience the distaste for conflict that was portrayed by the media. Unfortunately, they being the first, the military didn't know how to deal with it. There was no system. There was no support. A lot of those guys suffered through post-traumatic stress disorder, all on their own. Nobody knew how to deal with them. It was a real sad situation. I think it was a great example for all militaries around the world to look at and say, hey, we never let this happen again. There's a lot of lessons learned, and kind of better themselves. The only thing that I've never understood since the Vietnam War was why the embedding of media. You want them to tell the story. That's great. You want to get the support of the people back in the country. You had it. You had the support of the country after 9/11. You didn't need media to be on the front line with the soldiers to make everybody back at home feel like they were part of the efforts. When you saw people falling out of buildings that were on fire, you had the support of the whole world. So in my mind, I think we could have went in there hot and heavy for maybe even a shorter duration of time. Keep the political and the media side out of it. Go in, hunt out those bastards, get rid of them. It's an ideology. And I mean, people could say what they want. but I'm right because you can see what's happening right now in Afghanistan. What do we pulled out 2 or 3 weeks? And the brutality that the Taliban are laying down on people over there right now. If you want to kill that, if you want to get rid of that, which we have to, I mean, it's an evil cancer that's rotting the world. You got to go in there and you got to kill them all. And when you say stuff like that, it's not politically correct. They're saying, well, we had to change hearts and minds. You can't change a serial killer. If anybody thinks that guys like Charles Manson, Paul Bernardo, serial killers in North America, do we rehabilitate them and put them back into the street? No, they had to stay in prison because they're broken. There's an evil entity and there's a mindset in there of what they see and how they portray society and what they think they're able to do and get away with. The Taliban and the Al Qaeda are no different. It's something that will be there and it's passed down from generation to generation, and they're just raising the next generation of terrorists. This is not the only attack that will happen. Unfortunately, 9/11 will happen again somewhere, somehow. Maybe not planes flying into buildings, but they're going to continue to terrorize people around the world. And it's only for them to get organized and raise enough funds, and it'll happen again, and we'll have to go over and do this all over again. And it won't be me and you, it'll be our kids' kids. But it will happen again. So if you want to win wars, as violent and as gruesome as it can be, you have to go over and you have to start it and you have to finish it. If not, you keep going back and putting patches on it.